You know how some places immediately make you uncomfortable the moment you arrive? Not because of how they look, but because of how they feel. That's exactly what Blackridge felt like to me. The town itself looked normal enough. Small shops, old buildings, quiet streets, but there was something strange about the silence there. People barely spoke to each other after sunset. Shops closed earlier than they should, and by midnight the roads looked completely abandoned. I moved there because I had no other choice. I was broke, behind on rent, and desperate for work. So when a local taxi company offered me a night driving job, I immediately accepted it without thinking too much about it. Looking back now, I think they were desperate to find someone willing to take that route. On my third day in town, I stopped at a roadside tea stall around midnight before starting my shift. A few older drivers were sitting there quietly smoking and staring at the rain. One of them suddenly looked at me and asked, "You're the new guy driving Taxi 17, right?" I nodded. The man's expression changed instantly. He looked nervous. Not the kind of nervous people fake for jokes. Real nervous. Then he leaned slightly toward me and said something I still haven't forgotten. "If anyone tries stopping your car near the old tunnel on Hill Road, don't stare at them for too long." At the time, I laughed because I thought he was messing with the new guy. Now I realized nobody in Blackridge joked about Hill Road. The taxi company itself was strange from the beginning. The office was small, old, and unusually quiet, even during the evening rush. There were barely any drivers around. The manager barely asked me anything during the interview. No background check, no proper paperwork. He just handed me the keys to an old white taxi and told me the night routes paid better than daytime shifts. That should have been a red flag. Before I left the office, he stopped me near the door and said, "One more thing. If you ever get a pickup request near Hill Road after midnight, don't step outside the vehicle." I remember laughing awkwardly and asking him why everybody kept acting weird about that road. But instead of answering, he just looked away and pretended to organize some papers on his desk. That silence bothered me more than any explanation could have. Still, I needed the money badly, so I ignored the feeling in my gut and started driving. For the first few nights, everything seemed normal. I picked up drunk college students, tired factory workers, and couples returning home late at night. Sometimes the rides were awkward, sometimes funny, but nothing felt dangerous. Then Thursday night came, and everything changed. It was around 12:47 a.m. when my phone buzzed with a new ride request. The pickup location was somewhere on Hill Road, near an abandoned bus stop beside the forest. I almost rejected it immediately, but the payment being offered was nearly 3 times higher than a normal fare. So I accepted the ride. As I drove toward the location, the town slowly disappeared behind me. The roads became emptier with every passing minute. No traffic, no houses. Even the stray dogs that wandered around the streets at night were gone. Then my GPS started acting strangely. The screen froze for a few seconds, restarted itself, then glitched again. At first I thought it was just poor signal, but the timing felt too strange. The closer I got to Hill Road, the worse it became. By the time I finally reached the bus stop, rain was pouring so heavily I could barely see through the windshield. That's when I noticed someone standing underneath the shelter, tall, perfectly still. At first I thought it was just a normal passenger waiting in the rain, but something immediately felt wrong. The rainwater hit the ground all around them, yet somehow their clothes didn't appear wet. I slowed the taxi carefully. The headlights illuminated the bus stop completely, except for the person's face. I still can't explain that part. There was no hood covering them, no shadow from above. Yet their face stayed hidden in darkness no matter how the headlights hit them. I rolled down the window slightly and asked, "Did you book the ride?" The figure didn't answer. Instead, it slowly lifted one hand and pointed toward the back seat of my taxi. The moment it did that, every sound around me disappeared. No rain, no wind, just complete silence. My chest tightened instantly. Every instinct told me to drive away, but for some reason, I unlocked the doors. The back door opened. The taxi dipped slightly, as if someone had entered. Then the door closed. I looked at the rearview mirror. The back seat appeared empty, but somehow the inside of the car suddenly felt colder and crowded. I can hear the person behind me, breathing very close to me, but every time I looked into the mirror, there was nothing there. Then my phone notification appeared. It was destination update from my app. The new location was somewhere deep beyond Hill Road, a place called Raven's Hollow. I had never heard of it. The road became narrower. Trees covered both sides. It was complete darkness with no houses around. On top of that, there's no signal in that area. That's when I noticed muddy footprints on the inside of my windshield. As if someone had stepped across the ceiling, I slammed the brakes. The car stopped, and for the first time, the breathing behind me stopped too. I turned slowly toward the back seat, completely empty. Then, a voice beside my ear whispered, "Keep driving." At that point, I wanted to turn around so badly. I almost did, but something about that road felt wrong, like it was pulling me forward. Every time I thought about stopping the taxi, this horrible pressure built in my chest, like my body already knew something my brain didn't. Then I saw the tunnel, an old stone tunnel cut through the side of the mountain. There are no lights inside the tunnel, just darkness. The walls near the entrance were covered in faded words. It looks like they were warnings from distance. Somebody had painted them over and over again. "Turn back, don't stop, it hears you." I remember gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers hurt, and right when I entered the tunnel, the engine died. Everything went silent. I tried to start the car again, but it didn't. There was complete silence. You know that kind of silence that feels heavy? Like the air itself is holding its breath. That's what it felt like. Then came the knocking. The knocks were directly above me. I froze there. Didn't know what to do. Then, very slowly, something started moving across the roof of the taxi. It sounded heavy, like someone crawling on all its four legs. I could actually hear the metal bending slightly. Then the rearview mirror moved by itself, slowly tilting upward. I didn't want to look. Every instinct in my body told me not to, but I looked anyway. And for 1 second, I saw something standing behind the taxi. It was a black, tall figure. Its arms looked wrong somehow, longer than they should have been. And even from that distance, I had this horrible feeling that it was smiling. Then the mirror cracked, and the tunnel lights flickered on for half a second, just long enough for me to realize whatever was behind the car had moved closer. The radio suddenly turned on by itself. A woman's voice came through the static.
"Driver 17, if you can hear this, do not let it inside your car."
I froze right there. My taxi number was 17. The voice continued. "It follows people who stop on Hill Road." Then the signal distorted, but before it cut off completely, I heard screaming of dozens of voices, all at once. Then silence. And the engine restarted. The GPS finally stopped at an abandoned house near the forest. Every window was broken. The front door hung open, but the ride still hadn't ended. The app showed passengers still inside vehicle. My hands were shaking. I reached for my phone. Then I heard movement behind me. like wet clothes shifting slowly. I looked into the mirror, and for the first time all night, I saw someone sitting in the back seat, their head tilted unnaturally to one side, water dripping onto the floor, face hidden in darkness. Then my phone screen changed. A new message appeared. "Don't look away." I stared into the mirror. The passenger never moved, but slowly. Its reflection began smiling, even though the actual face never changed. That was enough. I jumped out of the taxi and ran. I ran into the woods without thinking. Branches cut my arms. The rain soaked my clothes. But behind me, I could still hear the taxi door opening and closing, again and again. Like someone was stepping out, then getting back in, over and over. I finally reached the main road near dawn. An old man working at a tea stall saw me. He looked terrified. Then he asked one question. "Did you stop near the tunnel?" I couldn't answer, because at that moment, I noticed muddy footprints leading from the road up the back of my shirt. I quit the next morning. Didn't even collect my salary. I packed my things and got ready to leave Blackridge before sunset. But before I left, I went back to the taxi office. I needed answers. The manager looked terrified the moment he saw me walk in. I asked him what was on Hill Road. He stayed quiet for a long time. Then he opened a drawer beside his desk. Inside were dozens of missing person posters. Most of them were drivers. Some disappeared years ago, some only a few months earlier, and every single one had one thing in common. Last seen near Hill Road, I asked him why the road was still open. Why nobody warned people. The manager just stared at me. Then he quietly said, "Because if the road stays empty for too long, it comes looking elsewhere." I didn't ask what he meant. I left immediately. That was 2 years ago. I live in another town now, far away from Blackridge. I don't drive anymore. But sometimes, usually around 12:47 a.m., my phone lights up beside my bed. One new ride request, no customer name, no number, just a pickup location, Hill Road. And every single time it happens, I hear 3 knocks somewhere inside my house. And no matter how fast I check the doors, nobody is ever there.